Alright, so I just got a new truck, which is a lot bigger than my old one. And one of the problems I'm already having is backing out of my driveway at night. It's already narrow as it is, plus the driveway is pitch black. So I'm trying to find some kind of light bar system that I can mount onto my back rack that would make my life a lot easier. So obviously I could go out there and just buy one, but what's the fun in that, right? So I went on Facebook Marketplace. I found these. I'm not even sure if these probably aren't even a real brand, but I got all 4 of them for $25. I went on Amazon. They were looking to be about $55, $60. So I thought it was a steal and I can't go wrong. So what I'm going to be doing is fabricating out of 1/8" flat bar and some other materials. I'm going to be building an encasement for this, and I'm going to make this one big light bar here. So my first thoughts are, we'll keep these 2 straight and shoot them right out the back, and then these will be at, I'm not even sure what angle, maybe a 25-degree angle off the side, just so I can get some light on each corner. I don't want to totally whale it this way because then there's going to be a large gap of light down here. So, and for aesthetic reasons, I think it'd be better with a slight curve. So that's my initial thoughts. I'll check back with you once I get to cutting some metal. Alright, so it's the next day. I spent about an hour and a half yesterday kind of mocking this up and getting some of the first pieces cut. So this is what I've come up with so far. These first 2 lights are put together and bolted in place. Then we have the corner piece, which when they're standing upright, there will be no gap here. I cut the pieces for this one and I finally took it off. I made a little mistake on this one here where I miscentered the hole, so I just made it about 1/16 bigger, and that's gonna allow me to make all the adjustments I need. You know, this will never be seen, you know, I wish I hadn't done it, but you'll never be able to notice it once it's done. So yeah, I've jumped ahead a lot since that first video because I kind of just got in the zone of measuring things and figuring things out. So now I'm going to start welding these pieces. I made a little, on my workbench here, I made some different angles where I could see where I wanted the lights. We have the 35, 25, and I think this is like a 28 or something like that. I think I'm going to end up going with the 28. That's going to give me a decent amount of bend, but not too much to where I'm totally, you know, losing aesthetics by, you know, going like that. So yeah, it's really tricky because once I weld this in, it's kind of like that permanently unless I start cutting other pieces, but that's just a whole nother project in itself. So I'll get to welding and I'll show you how it looks. So a quick intermission from the project. I just picked up this 14-inch Evolution chop saw, and this thing cuts like a knife through butter. It's insane. It leaves such a clean cut and it leaves no heat whatsoever. So you can pick it right up, bring it right to the drill press, bare hands, no problem. I got it for about $200. It was a great deal, so I picked it up. I've used the abrasive models before, but they don't cut as clean. They leave a bit of a hotter cut at the end. And while the blades are much expensive, this thing will last for, at my rate, a couple of years. You know, so it's definitely worth the purchase if you could afford it. If you could find one on sale, I'd definitely do it. So back to the project. Alright, so I finally cut everything, got everything bolted up. I think it's looking pretty good. Everything's pretty centered up. So now I'm gonna start building the box. I'm thinking, you know, this is gonna go on top like there, and I'm not sure what I'm doing yet because my original plan was to totally make a steel encasement here, bring this straight across, and I'd build my wire harness right here. But now that I'm thinking about it, I'm gonna need 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6 for the bottom, and that's a lot of steel. You know, this is gonna be a good 20 pounds, 25 pounds plus. It's a lot of steel, but I think it's gonna look best that way. But I keep saying but there's so many different variations here. Once I build the box, what happens if I need to get in there and access the wiring? So the bottom side might have to be a total drop down floor. There's a lot of options. And you know, I thought this through many times. I thought I had it. I started, changed it again, changed it again, changed it again. But that's how it goes. That's half the fun in it. So we'll see what I end up doing. All right, so a couple minutes later, finally cut the piece and got it tacked. You can see my 3 tacks. It was actually pretty tricky because back here, there's a lot of wires and I didn't want to burn anything up. So it took a while to get all the positioning right. I had about 5 of these things holding it up, a couple clamps. I wish I recorded it, but I just had to get it done. But to me, it's starting to look pretty sick. I mean, once I get this, I think my next order of business is to go straight back and then finish this, and same thing on the other side. And then once that's in, I'll get the final top plate, and then I'll start sketching up the bottom. I think I'm gonna run into a lot of trouble with the bottom because it needs to be accessible, especially because, you know, this steel is never gonna rust away. This box is gonna last forever. But, you know, I can't say the same about these lights, and so it needs to be accessible, or else I'm just doing this to last maybe 10,000 hours, which, you know, they say 10,000, but these are really off-brand, so we're just gonna get through it. We're gonna do it, knock it out. See you in the next clip. Quick little side note for anyone who's just getting into this and hasn't figured this out yet. So I just made my scribe line right here, and what a lot of people do is they'll use this line and cut straight down the line. But what you have to remember is saw blades are usually 1/8 of an inch wide. So if you cut down here, you're going to lose a little bit less than 1/2 inch or 1/8 of an inch, which in a project like this isn't too crazy because I could always fill it with weld. But if you're doing fine woodworking or fine metalworking, you're going to lose that, and there's going to be a gap, and you're gonna have to recut the piece. So always remember to mark which side you want. In this situation, I want this side, so I'm gonna cut right down on this side of the line, keeping the black line. I hope that makes sense. All right, so I got the first side panel. So that's what the side angle looks like. Got everything in, so everything's tacked up. Now I'm gonna take my second piece, make the angle on it. It'll go something like that. And then I'll run my piece straight across, cover the top, and I'll be done with this part of the project. So it's time to grab something to eat and then knock that out. See you then. All right, so I just got back from eating something and got these thrown into place real quick, a couple tacks in them. Everything's looking good so far. Everything, as you can see, it's looking pretty even. I'm gonna clean the spatter, so don't worry about that. But I did run into a little miscalculation on my part. For some reason, in my mind, even though I work with this all the time, I thought this was 2.5 inches. It's really 2 inches. And what that's gonna do is, my plan was to throw a second piece here, and that this was gonna line up perfectly here, create that straight line, and we'd be good to go. But it's gonna look like I'm gonna have maybe 1/2 inch, or maybe close to 3/4 of an inch space going all the way across. So it looks like I'm going to have to cut this down the middle. Here's a 2-inch wide piece, and the overhang would just be, I think that's just too much of an overhang. So I guess I'm going to cut this, but that's going to be fairly difficult with an angle grinder. So that's a bummer, but I guess I'm just going to have to cut it. See you in the next clip. All right, so I got that top piece cut and tacked into place. And as you can see, it's really starting to take shape. It's gonna look really cool. So as you can see, both corners got to be finished off. That'll be easy. Then I have to do this rip, which I'm not going to lie, I'm a little afraid to do this because this is a long piece of metal. I only have about 5 feet left, and this is probably a good 2.5 feet, 2 feet. So I don't want to mess this up and then lose 2 feet of metal. So that's going to be rough. I'm not sure if I should. I'm thinking maybe put the back piece on first, then I'll put this top piece. Because if I put the top piece in, welding is going to be... Oh, I could go from underneath. True. See, I'm on the spot. I'm trying to make this happen. Maybe I'm going to do the back piece first. Damn, I don't know, because if I do the back piece, then everything's going to be welded straight down. Alright, well, I'll figure it out, and I'll give you an update. Alright, finally got this back piece in. It's looking pretty good. I'm pretty proud of how straight that came out, because when I was cutting these corner pieces, I found out that the left side here is 2 degrees off compared to that. I'm not sure how I did it. I like quadruple checked it, but this ended up coming out straight, which was all that I really cared about, because once this is on there, your eyes aren't going to see that. Your eyes aren't going to see that 2-degree difference. So all I have to do is throw a line here, cut this, and at that point, I'll take out the lights, finish these 2 corners, make sure these panels are straight so there's no gap, and I'll do the final fabrication. I'll grind everything down, and then I'll be on to the bottom and this gap here, which I'm gonna have to figure out some kind of door or sliding system, because I need access to the inside. But yeah, I just need access to the inside. There's no other way around it but to have some kind of door system. So I'll figure that out once I finish the final fabrication. Alright, so I got the back 2 pieces in. I did come across a little problem with this here. I guess I didn't fully pinch this in. I think the weld kind of got caught in there, so I might either try to grind that out, or I might put this in the vise. I might take the light out and put this in the vise, squeeze it in tight, and then tack it. Yeah, other than that, that'll be fixed. And now I got the bottom. So I might start fabricating it, or finish welding and finishing everything up, then go to the bottom. See you then. Alright, so it's the next day. I got the lights out. I finished welding all the corners, making everything look real smooth and nice. Everything's coming together. The only problem I'm running into, once again, is the backside. I'm not sure how I'm gonna fill this gap and do the bottom due to access issues. I'm gonna need to access the lights at some point. And if I make a whole shell like this, I'm never gonna get in there again. So I've been thinking about it. I've come with a couple ideas, and I'm not too sure what exactly I'm doing yet, but once again, we'll figure it out. All right, so it's an hour or 2 later. So what I ended up doing was I totally closed off the backside. I did that both for aesthetic reasons and because I want to put some kind of logo along the back, and it would be best if I had that full width to really make it stand out. So then, I had to tackle the problem with having an access door to the inside just in case one of these blew out or I need to do something with the wiring. So what I ended up doing was I welded on these lips. The front is thicker than the back, and what this is going to do is it's going to hold this 16 gauge sheet metal that I actually found in my scrap pile. I'm going to cut it so there's maybe like 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch along the outside, and just throw self tappers in there and call it a day with that part. There wasn't really too much I could do. I was thinking about totally make a hinging door, but that was going to be a lot of work for something that maybe I'd have to open up every couple years to change these out, and it wasn't worth the effort. So I pretty much, as you can see, everything's nice and ground down. I just have to clean up the inside in the corners a little bit, but other than that, throw the top on, and it's on to building the mount for the back rack. So I'll see you when I do that. Alright, so it's a day or 2 later. I'm gonna finish this project up today. So now I'm building the top part, which is the access panel. So once again, I have the 16 gauge sheet metal, and here's my light bar assembly. So what I did was I put it on the sheet metal and I quickly just trace out the real dimensions of it. But I know I want a 1/2 inch gap all around, just so that when you're on ground level, you don't see this little piece. So what I did is I measured a 1/2 inch to the inside of everything. I pushed it back and I drew a separate line. So I know that this inside line is going to be a 1/2 inch around the entire front. So I'm going to get to cutting this, and then we're going to get the dimensions of the back and the front and the sides once it's on there, and we could just eyeball it how it looks, and so I'll show you that goes. All right, so here it is. This is the final fabricated light bar. I'm not sure if you guys saw this, but I finally finished cutting out this top piece here, and here's a quick little tip. I actually miscentered my hole. I just tacked it up and ground it down. Once paint's on it, no one's gonna ever know. That's the best thing about metalworking. You can fix up mistakes really quickly. But the other part you didn't see is my mounting system. I actually designed a adjustable mounting system, which I thought was gonna be really cool, but then I realized all light bars that I've ever had, or all back racks that I've ever had, are 2-inch square tubing. So there's no point in making an adjustable one if everyone's gonna be the same. I hope that makes sense. But other than that, everything's fabricated. Obviously this will close up once I put the self-tappers in it. All I have to do is go inside, and I'm gonna use my Dremel and clean up the inside a little bit. But yeah, it came out really good. I'm still not sure what color. When I put the lights in, I really like the look of this gray metalish type color. But I also have a truck bed coating, which I like to paint stuff with because it's scratch resistant and it hides the imperfections very well, which would be good to have. So I'll get back to you once I paint it up and put the lights back in it. All right, so that's pretty much a wrap on this project. Everything's all painted up, and in the next clip I'm going to show you what it looks like with the lights in it. So I'll give you my final thoughts once I do that. All right, so here's the finished product. I think it came out looking really good. It's going to look really cool in the truck. Of course, the top plate here is not fully set into place yet because I still need to put the screws in. I don't know if you can see the holes. I still need to put the screws in, but before I can do that, I have to run the wiring. See, I have my, right there, I have the hole for the wiring input. And obviously I could just screw it in now, but I'd rather not screw it in 15 different times, you know? So yeah, it came out really cool. And probably I'll do a follow-up video once I wire it into the truck, but I'll probably just post this from here. But yeah, it was a good little project. I learned a lot from it, and if anyone wants to buy it, you can have it. It's only $700.